what is the next step for all aspirants who are truly wanting to penetrate into the deeper knowledge of the esoteric tradition, who want to really understand, who am I? As a soul, who am I? What is my purpose spiritually? And how can I help humanity? What is my role? These are really, these are ideal questions that everyone who's on the spiritual path would want to consider. So the next step, one of the things people who are reading, especially the books of Alice A. Bailey, it is mentioned that every 100 years the masters have a conclave. In 1925 it was mentioned that the masters came together to help plan the next 100 years. Thus, many aspirants today who read the books of Alice A. Bailey are looking forward to 2025, thinking that at that time something new is going to happen. Something's just going to spring out just because the masters come together. But that's not correct. That's not how things happen. Evolution moves slowly, step by step. And the masters don't just throw things out there. It's well planned. Thus, the next step is already out there. It is slowly growing by many individuals who are aspiring on the path. I was involved with a small group for over 30 years. My teacher, call him RN for now, was a Theosophist. He was introduced to Theosophy when he was 16 years of age. Initially, that's all he thought about was Theosophy. He was a brilliant mind and could grasp these esoteric truths. But eventually he thought there was something missing. He was a member of several lodges as he moved from Indonesia to Holland to Canada. I met him at the Toronto Theosophical Society. But then he saw that the works of Alice A. Bailey were a next step and went to another level of theosophical thought. So he joined the Arcane School. And he was a member for quite some time. But then he found that when he asked questions that go to a secretary or central area in the Arcane School, they could not answer his questions to satisfy his search for knowledge. Then he started to investigate the Sanatana Dharma of ancient India, especially the Shiva Siddhanta. And he found that he had a talent, an inner understanding towards Shiva. So he started investigating. And when I met him, I had no idea about things like that. But I was slowly introduced to the idea of Shiva, the 5 faces of Shiva, Shiva Siddhanta, Samkhya Yoga, and all different aspects of the Indian esoteric tradition. And then, over time, we started to investigate Buddhism. RN, having a brilliant mind, started to synthesize all these teachings. Then in 1978, we were contacted by one of the Theosophical masters who gave us a word of power, a mantra. And before you know it, we were chanting this particular mantra. It was so unusual. It took me personally a couple of years to be able to chant it correctly. But this mantra opened up doors to esoteric knowledge that goes beyond books. What RN was so surprised, because originally as a Theosophist, he was actually against mantra. He was interested in contemplation, more on the Zen side. And then when he started studying Shiva Siddhanta, we started meditating on Lord Shiva. But he was more interested in the knowledge aspect, the 36 tattvas, the relationship between time and space, because he had a brilliant mind. But before long, because of this master, we started chanting as a group. And as a group, we learned the way to invoke higher forces. With the higher forces came other masters and the devas, and much greater knowledge. And then deities. And with these deities, especially initially the Buddhist deities, opened the door to understanding the iconography of the pantheon of deities of the East. What the Tibetans write in many of the books that are now translated, if the deity is holding, say, a puba or a ritual knife or an axe or a variety of different implements, was much different to our knowledge than what was written in the books. What we saw was much closer to what you read in books like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. It was very fascinating. So as RN synthesized all these ideas, and eventually he passed away, and myself as one of his students, I've taken these ideas and brought them to the Theosophical Society, and fortunately I have a small group that I've developed there. And now I'm teaching them the wisdom of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, how to invoke the masters, and we will be chanting the mantra of the Buddha. This has gone on now for a year and change, and only in the last 6 months have we noticed that there's been a downpour of energy, a blessing from the higher forces. Because of that, our knowledge aspect and the knowledge of all the members is being accelerated. Their insights into their own inner being and who they are is being accelerated. This is the beginning of the next step, embracing the esoteric knowledge of the East, but yet having an understanding of the laws of karma, the laws of mantra, the laws of being that are given out through the occult constitution of the Theosophical teaching. Blending and synthesizing, instead of, oh, I'm a Buddhist, no, I study Hindu teaching, no, I study Theosophical teaching. We take it all together and compress it into a new teaching that doesn't have the borders of these particular groupings. You can study and understand Krishna or Lord Hanuman and Avalokiteshvara and the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. There is no conflict. They intermix or intermingle without hindrance. So the new idea of teaching is a synthesis to awaken the hearts within us, the essential nature, that we become intuitive and understand from a higher reasoning the divine laws, our purpose, and how to serve humanity. Once, quite some time ago, I was traveling with some friends in the group, and we were visiting different temples, actually in upstate New York. And one of our stops was a Zen temple, I think somewhere outside of Woodstock in New York State. But just so happened the day that we were there, everybody was gone. There was only a couple of people there, though we had a nice conversation. But as I was conversing with these people, I had a strong inspiration that all these different temples and groups and people who are making this effort towards this next step create shafts of light from the inner planes to humanity. And it's these shafts of light and spiritual awakening that help cut through the coarse materialism and the coarse aspects of Western life that have developed, to help bring a new world that'll take many years yet, but this is the beginning. So I'm suggesting to embrace more a synthesis of the East and West, creating a new form that I've been experimenting with. And to help, you could read in my book, Living on the Inner Edge. Explains it much more in detail, and you can get some ideas. And it is an adventure of awakening based on knowledge and practice and serving humanity that fulfills one's heart.